We have Justin Lum. Justin, welcome aboard.
Good morning.
Hey,
Yeah.
how are you?
You know, it was busy. This week flew by.
Oh, man,
Obviously,
it's been
a lot of news to cover for all of us. And so we were in Tucson yesterday for the big case, the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and really so much information came out of this press conference held by the Pima County Sheriff's Department. My first time there, but our crews have been rotating throughout the week. But just the big story, this alleged ransom note.
Okay, I was going to say, to you, what were the 2 or 3 or 4 biggest takeaways? One, I don't know if this was a correction or if he just wanted to make sure everybody understood that there wasn't a sign of forced entry. He made that point yesterday because I think early on we all thought there had been forced entry.
Yeah, you would think so. But once we got the timeline of the events, the timeline of the disappearance with Nancy Guthrie's home, we know that her garage door closes at 9:50 p.m. last Saturday night. So was there forced entry? The sheriff seems to be going back and forth, but he's saying, I never confirmed that there was a sign of forced entry or that there wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get into that, but you have this garage door closing at 9:50 at night, and then really the next sequence of events are 1:47 a.m. Sunday morning, where that doorbell camera is removed and disconnected. Law enforcement doesn't have that camera. He said that we're not saying that it's destroyed, but that camera is not there, and we don't have any surveillance video at all. At 2:12 a.m., the software detects some sort of movement, person. He said it could be an animal. It's something that was detected, but we don't have video of that. And at 2:28 a.m., that's when Nancy's pacemaker is disconnected from her phone. So there was clear indication, as he confirmed, that what led to her disappearance happened within that 45-minute span overnight in those hours.
What was the most startling thing that we learned yesterday? And he made reference to, like, you can always play Monday morning quarterback. I mean, he highlighted that the investigation might not seem perfect, like with the crime scene tape coming up and down. And
that was something that the press kept pressing him about, is like, would you do things differently? That's what I asked him. Knowing that the FBI was going to help, they wanted to take another look, and they put a perimeter back up. I believe that's Wednesday evening. So you had really this gap from Monday, the end of Monday, to Wednesday evening, where there was no perimeter. And our crews and reporters and journalists and media analysts were going up to this front door, and we saw the blood on the patio. And that was another big development, that the blood is confirmed to be Nancy's. This blood spotting there on the front patio. They're waiting for other lab results.
And that initially, too, they said we tested DNA. Initially, he wouldn't confirm if it was blood or what it was. And now we're learning, well, we've seen the video, obviously, that it's the blood on the patio.
So that was a new development, that it's confirmed to be her.
What was your takeaway from the fact that there was blood on the front doorstep, but as far as we know, nowhere else? How does that add up?
Yeah, they processed the whole scene, and they're still waiting for results. So could there be something else that hasn't been released yet, or they're not willing to tell us yet? I mean, that's still something that we have questions about. But the other big note was this deadline that has since gone and passed, 5 p.m. yesterday, for the alleged ransom note to make some sort of transfer to a Bitcoin wallet address. So they wouldn't say that they deny the legitimacy of this. No, they're taking it very seriously. And the fact that there's a secondary deadline on Monday, there's no time that we've been provided with. But as we're learning from TMZ's reporting, that there seems to be indication of a time frame to bring Nancy back if a ransom is made. And how that transport would go, it's strange and it's sensitive information, but things are starting to come out.
Yes, and you're right. And TMZ talking a little bit more about that ransom note, it seems. But what I was kind of alerted to when they were breaking that note down, because obviously Harvey Levin has seen it. He said, I've looked at this note more than 20 times. I've gone through it. And he said that there obviously was that initial deadline, 5 p.m. yesterday, but that there would be a significant change if that deadline wasn't met, and if it comes to Monday and that deadline isn't met again. So that was a little interesting of what what that means. What
Time
could be
is
in
of
the
the
note.
essence. I mean, we have a whole weekend.
Yeah.
Right? Until Monday, we have a whole weekend, and there's been no communication. The family, as you've seen these emotional pleas via social media twice by Savannah Guthrie and her brother, they want to talk, and they have not gotten in contact. The FBI says they're there to help. They have crisis negotiators. They have personnel from Quantico. They are ready to consult with the family and help them. But really, it is up to the Guthries to initiate that contact with the alleged abductors, whoever is behind this. And then let's also mention what came out yesterday was a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy and an arrest for whoever's involved.
Yeah. And I found it fascinating too, as you mentioned, right? TMZ now talking about a radius because the note indicated we will bring her back to Tucson. And it would take potentially this long. So that was fascinating.
So are they in the state of Arizona, out of the state in Arizona?
Could be out of the country even.
Who knows?
Some parts of Mexico included in that.
Yeah,
but
the border
who
right
knows?
there.
Right.
And Harvey specifically mentioned New Mexico. So obviously that's a pretty quick drive down the 10 from Tucson to get over to.
This is so
I guess
bizarre.
Lordsburg would be the first city you'd come to. What about the Apple Watch? Referring to, hey, if you want some proof that we were in the house, we can tell you where her Apple Watch was left.
The
Or
Apple
where the
Watch,
Apple Watch
and
is.
floodlights.
Yeah.
So, and that's what the law enforcement said, that they took that seriously. Like, okay, they know something. They knew something that wasn't public.
Right.
And you've got the imposters. You talk about the arrest of the California man who allegedly sent the text to the family right after the video was posted asking about the Bitcoin transfer. So he told law enforcement he'd been following the coverage, and by then the TMZ report and maybe other reports had come out about the demand for Bitcoin. So he, in this text message, allegedly asked for, where's the Bitcoin transfer. So the FBI is making sure that people know, don't try this because we will come after you, and you will, face justice if you try to take advantage of the Guthrie family during this terrible time.
And look at how quick that arrest came too.
Yeah, that happened very quickly.
Very fast.
But as far as this incident here, this case ongoing, it's just, you imagine what is the family going through. They're not too far away at Savannah's sister's home and waiting for any information and trying to get in contact with this person or persons.
There's one thing that we haven't talked about a lot yet, but I just noticed Paul Morrow, the retired NYPD detective who is a consultant with Fox News, and he's been excellent on his coverage about this, and he attacks it, I think, with a detective's mind. And we haven't talked about the neighbor's concern about a white van that was reportedly seen parked in the area just a few days before. And Morrow made the point. He said, now that I'm on the ground, I'm not in New York, I'm here in Tucson, I've walked up and down this street and up and down this neighborhood. He says, nobody parks on the street here. So the fact that there was a white unmarked van, to him, he said there needs to be more focus on that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I've just seen reports of the unmarked van, and I will say that on this quiet street, which doesn't have a lot of light, at nighttime,
Correct.
all the cars are media. So our unmarked white SUV and other news cars, it has taken over the street.
Right.
And if we weren't there, that's true. It's just an empty street, and they've got these pretty spacey, roomy driveways. So
There would be no reason to park on the street.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So, but press asked about any reports of attempted break-ins in the neighborhood within the past month or so, because there had been some whispers about that, but the sheriff didn't get into that on if there was anyone, kind of casing the area, looking for targets for for alleged attempted break-ins. So,
well, and he was asked about that the other day too. Were there reports of any threats, to the family, either Savannah or Nancy? Had she complained about anything or anyone, or it was something out of the ordinary? And they had said, no, not as far as they were aware.
Yeah, and the sheriff isn't saying whether she was targeted or not targeted, and a lot of us watching, of course, you assume like, well, how could she not be? And what's this is the size of her circle, the people in contact with her, how many people could she really be in contact with every day? 84 years old, she goes to church, sees her family, really that's it, so who's involved in this? And there's so many questions and so much to sort through, obviously.
Yeah, and so you take a look at, there obviously are multiple reasons to take this note seriously. When the 5 p.m. deadline came and went, like Des said, now we've got the Monday deadline.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no proof of life. If you really were the kidnappers, why wouldn't you put her on, tape a video and leave it somewhere, or send it, or just, deliver to the news media picture of today, that kind of, they're not doing that.
Yeah, that's all the family wants, and they're ready to talk. And so that's concerning, right? Because we know she also needs her medication. They talked about that again, that Nancy has a heart condition that, relies on daily medication, doesn't have that with her. And if she doesn't have that medication, it could turn bad. It could turn even fatal. So a lot of concerns there.
Yeah, and no clear indication, too, if they think this was one person, multiple people, a group of people working together.
No, none of that.
Either they don't know, or it's just something they're not sharing with us.
And I think, we hammer home that if you have any leads at all, especially living in this area, it looks very remote. It's a beautiful neighborhood, but, right on the outskirts, a lot of, main streets, shopping centers, gas stations, all that. Like, there's traffic.
By the way, there's that QR code.
Yeah. So if you have tips, you are encouraged to contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department, the FBI. There's a lot of law enforcement on this case. As the sheriff said, they've got local police agencies helping. They have their regional team, their critical incident team there, giving as many resources they can. The FBI is pouring everything into this as well. So, just hoping for a safe, positive resolution in all this.
Can you stick with us? I know, Des, you're seeing
Carolyn
this too. We're getting some really interesting questions. We do like to be interactive with our viewers on YouTube. And so some of the comments we are seeing here, Carolyn is in there asking, okay, so what about the ride share, Uber, Lyft, etc.? Took it to the daughter's house for dinner that evening, which she said that seemed to hit her kind of odd, since family could have gone over and picked her up. She's just a few minutes from there.
Yeah, and that Uber driver was questioned, and the sheriff said, everything's on the table. He said everyone is a suspect as far as questioning, but we don't have a prime suspect. Everyone that has been in contact with her or knows her, they are talking to, as much as they can. As throughout this investigation, the Uber driver picked Nancy up, took her to the family home for dinner, and then a family member took her back that night. And so it's one trip.
It's interesting because, look, there's Carolyn who's saying, I know the family brought her home from dinner. However, if my mom lived that close, I would pick her up and wouldn't have her take a ride share. So, there are so many different aspects to this.
So many thoughts to this. Everyone, obviously, so many opinions, because it's a national story. So many
theories. And,
it's huge. And time is ticking. It literally is a race against time. And, a lot of theories are coming out, and we're wading through the misinformation that's come out. I know we've talked about reports of a prime suspect, but that was refuted. That was kind of slapped down by the sheriff multiple times. FBI, really social media is such an avenue for a lot of this to come out. YouTube, podcasts, and so much noise. That yesterday was very important, and maybe the most, important press conference we get in a while until there's a major development. They won't be holding any, they say, until they have a real update.